Tēnā koutou, no mai hara mai.
I came to Nelson 10 years ago with the expectation that I'd spend 6 months to a year here, and now I wouldn't live anywhere else.
Nelson Marlborough gives you a good balance between sort of work life and social life. Nelson Hospital is a good size hospital to work at. It's a friendly environment, so you actually know a lot of the people in the hospital that you're working with.
There's quite a lot of good relationships between different specialties.
So there's lots of opportunities for you to develop your career however you want to focus it on.
A disadvantage for patients in bigger services is that they can get turned into a set of individual problems without one person really thinking about them as a human being. This is a fantastic environment to actually be able to practice really good medicine because you have the opportunity to look at the person as a whole.
Yeah, it's just easy to get around. So in Sydney it was always a battle everywhere you wanted to go, and I think that sort of flows on to even the patients. They come into the hospital, they can get a park, and they're quite happy to have a chat and they're quite relaxed.
Lots of restaurants, beautiful beaches. It's an excellent place to raise a family. I have 2 children now. Schools are fantastic. We couldn't be happier living here.
I would say to somebody who is wanting to come and work for Nelson Marlborough Health that they should do it. It's a great place to work, it's a great place to live, and it's a really enjoyable environment to be in.
It's always sunny.
Everything you could ask for.
There's nowhere else in New Zealand I'd want to live.
People come here by choice because it is a fantastic destination, and then they stay because when they realise they've been here for a while they don't want to leave.
Welcome everyone, I'm Larissa Matheson, RMO Team Lead of Nelson Hospital.
Hi, we're 3 of the PGY1s at Nelson Hospital. I'm Harriet.
I'm Emma.
Hi, I'm Phoebe.
My name's Roshani and I'm a PGY1 here at Nelson Hospital. I'm currently working on the AT&R ward, so that's for older person's health.
Hi, my name's Edward Palmer and I'm a first year house officer at Nelson Hospital, and currently I'm doing urology.
I was lucky enough to do some of my trainee intern year here at Nelson Hospital last year. So I did a quarter up here and absolutely loved it. What sort of struck me from day one was just how friendly everyone was here. I guess being a smaller hospital, you get to know everyone by names pretty quickly.
So the RMO office for Nelson Marlborough District Health Board is simply fantastic. I've always had a really positive interaction with them. Whether it's something on the roster you might need changed or some leave you want to get, I think that the reputation that this DHB has in that regard is probably the best.
There's only 12 PGY1s and I think roughly about 40 house officers in total, so you get to know your fellow colleagues pretty well inside and outside the hospital.
So despite being a small hospital, I would say that any career opportunity is possible from Nelson, especially if you're interested in practical procedures, anaesthetics or surgery. There's a lot of opportunities earlier than in other hospitals to get involved and learn some of those basic things. It also has on its hands more time for the patients, so you can gain your skills as a first year in a more thorough manner. And to add to that, it's in such a beautiful location it made it hard to resist.
Achieving a work-life balance in a career in medicine is always something that's stressed upon and something that we all want to achieve, and I think in Nelson, just being in this beautiful area that we are, it's sort of handed to you on a plate. There's so many awesome beaches, great hiking and mountain biking tracks, and there's just so much to do outside of work.
The hospital is well staffed, so you often don't have to work later than expected, and that makes being able to get out there and do what you really love that much easier.
Awesome. Okay, so Nelson Hospital is part of the Nelson Marlborough DHB, and included in that is also Wairoa Hospital, which is in Blenheim. So Nelson Hospital has about 140 beds, and it's the base hospital for our region. The region is a population of over 100,000 people, with about 53 of those 53,000 of those living in Nelson City itself. Nearby hospitals that we often will transfer patients to and from include Wairoa Hospital in Blenheim, as well as Grey Base Hospital, which is in Greymouth, and then our tertiary centres, Wellington and Christchurch, where some of our more complex patients will go. Nelson Hospital is a teaching hospital, so we have trainee interns here, as well as nursing students, physio students, and other allied health trainees. And there's actually a new hospital in the pipeline as well, which is in production at the moment. In terms of your RMO information, there's about 12 PGY1 positions available in Nelson Hospital. There are 46 house officers in total, with about 32 registrars. There's a slightly fluid values, Loretta will be able to discuss a bit more about. And the registrars here are both training and non-training registrars. The runs that we have available at the moment as a PGY1 include 4 house officers on a general medical run and 3 house officers at a time on a general surgical run. Everybody has to do general medicine, and most of you will end up doing general surgery as well. The surgical runs available include urology, ENT, a combination of gynae and ophthalmology, so you'll cover both specialties as one run, and orthopedics. And then if you're more interested in medicine, we have cardiology and ATNR, which is an older person's health and rehabilitation run. If you decide to stay on in Nelson Hospital as a PGY2, there's more runs that you can choose to do as well. So there's a 6-month obstetric and gynecology diploma, a 6-month pediatric diploma. You can also choose to work in the emergency department for 6 months, and you can opt in to do a diploma as part of that as well. There's an inpatient psychiatry unit, which is on site, and a psychogeriatrics hospital, which is out in Stoke, which you can elect to do as runs as well. There's an anaesthetics run, which is incredibly popular here. It is essentially an educational run, and people will learn really great skills on that run. So definitely something to think about if you're interested. Everybody, as part of their first 2 years as a house officer, also has to do a community run as well. So the runs available in Nelson, and these do shift around a little bit, include hospice and general practice, and occasionally community psychiatry and urgent care. And our urgent care clinic in Nelson is right next door to the emergency department, so they work quite closely together. Most people will do a relief run at some point during their PGY2 year as well, and so you can elect to do a medical relief run, a surgical relief run, or a combination of both. And then in terms of the pay scales that Nelson fits into, so for both Stones and the RDA contracts, we are currently a non-urban pay scale, and both contracts are with category D. So if you are interested in pay rates, that would be something to consider as well, and you can look further into that on the MECAs for both Stones and RDA. So little extra things that make Nelson Hospital a little bit different from other hospitals as an RMO include admissions shifts. So once in every run, so once about every 13 weeks, you'll do a week on admission shifts, which includes starting at about 2:30 in the afternoon, working till about 10 o'clock at night. And that's purely for the purpose of admitting patients. And that can be a really great learning opportunity as well. There's great shift flexibility and availability to request weekends off in advance. So there's often people that are willing to swap a long day with you, or you can email Loretta and her colleague Jo to ask for certain weekends off as well, if we can make that work. And there's also a backup roster available after hours. So if you are the long day house officer on the wards and you suddenly become incredibly busy, there might be somebody listed on the backup roster that you can call in to work to help you out. You get paid to put your name down on this roster, and you get paid for at least 4 hours of work if you get called in for a shift as well. You're able to get remote access to the DHB intranet from home as well, which is fantastic. And Nelson DHB provides a 6% matched employer contribution to KiwiSaver as well, so something to take advantage of. In terms of the structure of after hours, you'll work one long day for every standard 5-day working week. So on a Monday to Tuesday, you'll work one long day. Sorry, Monday to Friday, you'll work one long day. You don't work a long day if you're rostered on either side of a weekend. So if you're on a long day during your working week, you will be the one medical and surgical house officer covering the wards. You'll also have one ONG PEDS house officer, which covers those wards. So you don't need ONG PEDS, but you will be expected to cover all other wards. There are also the 2 admitting house officers, which we spoke about earlier, and there'll be people in the emergency department as well. In a 13-week run, you end up working about 3 weekends of those. So during a weekend, you'll work one long day and one short day. And after hours on a weekend, it looks slightly different from the weekdays. So you'll be either covering medical patients only or surgical patients only, as well as their ONG PEDS house officer. And you don't have the admitting house officers on a weekend available. The other thing that's quite lovely about Nelson is that you start nights after 9 months, rather than just after doing a general medical run, which allows you to gain a bit more experience before starting that as well. So we've got protected teaching sessions in Nelson, where you're off the ward and not expected to be contactable during these times. So Wednesday at midday, you'll have 2 45-minute sessions on clinical topics. And then a Thursday at midday, there's a 1-hour session on wellbeing and professional development. There's also a grand round for added interest at 12 o'clock, or about 12 o'clock on a Tuesday, which can be really useful for education and learning. Everybody does a course / ACLS course. It's been a bit variable this year with COVID, but next year that should definitely be up and running again as part of your first year as a house officer. And there's some extra courses available as well if you're more interested in other things. So prompt is an obstetric emergency course that you work with midwives for, pediatric life support, family violence, and there's some SIN training as well available should you choose to do that.
So we all absolutely love working at Nelson Hospital, and we're all extremely passionate about how much we love it. And one of the things that stands out most for us, and if you talk to anyone that works at Nelson, is that everyone knows everyone. Everything is on a first name basis, and it makes working in a team that much easier. Jobs that initially can be a little bit nerve-wracking as a PGY1, like calling colleagues, are made so much easier when you know them personally. The environment at Nelson is incredibly supportive. We're very collegial. We work very cohesively as a team, and I think that everyone that works here would agree. We have great clinical experience and opportunities. So with generally less house officers around, and we do have great registrar support, but less so than possibly in other centres. We have great opportunities to do hands-on procedures, be involved in rapid responses, and go to things like trauma calls. So as a general surgical house officer on call, you're part of the team that goes to any trauma call that comes into ED. Things like those are very valuable learning experiences, and you just learn so much from them. We're very lucky that everyone is very keen to teach, and generally there's time for people to be teaching as well. And there's a big focus on that in Nelson Hospital, from registrars to consultants to senior house officers to allied health. It's something we all appreciate. In terms of other things that we love, the cafe is brilliant. So it's actually a beautiful environment with these gorgeous open windows. So on a sunny day like today, it's lovely to sit in, and it makes for a good break from your work day. We are very lucky at Nelson that we get a free barista coffee each day, and 2 if you work a long day, which I don't think is very common at other DHBs. And the cafe food is great for those interested. So we have great vegetarian and vegan friendly options as well. Something that also stands out is that it's very easy to get to work. So I think from home to up on the wards would take us about 10 minutes. There's always a park, and it just makes things a little bit less stressful in the morning. Generally, with a few exceptions, so being on call on general surgery, you may not finish at 4, but generally we're finishing on time. And especially in the summer, there's hours ahead of you if you get out of work at 4 to go and do something awesome with the rest of your day. I'm sure that this is similar everywhere, but I think we have really special patients in Nelson. They are all extremely friendly, keen for a chat, and very grateful for the care that they get here. A few things to be aware of. So these are not cons of working in Nelson, just to be clear. It's just a few things to think about to make sure that Nelson is the right fit for you. So obviously, being a slightly smaller centre, we don't have some of the more niche subspecialties. So things like neurosurgery or other surgical specialties we won't have. So in some instances, complex patients requiring more complex operations or procedures will be transferred to larger centres for those, and then generally come back to Nelson following. It is a city, but living here feels like you're in a small town. It's just kind of the lifestyle that people live here. So that just means minimal nightlife. I think there's bamboo tying, it holds the fort, but otherwise not much really. And then another thing that I know I thought a lot about before coming here was that the Nelson region does have a slightly smaller Māori and Pacifica community. So in terms of thinking about working with these patients, it's something to be aware of. But in saying that, we have an awesome Harawira team here in the hospital, and we still have some really beautiful interactions with our Māori and Pacifica patients. In terms of your ACE application, so a few things to think about if you're keen to apply for Nelson. So we'd really recommend having a Nelson specific cover letter. So we want to know why you are specifically interested in working in Nelson Hospital and living in the Nelson region. And we strongly recommend an interview. It's not too late. I think there's about a month to go before things close. So that doesn't have to be in person. It can also be over Zoom. And the best person to contact about that is Loretta, our RMO coordinator, who will be able to organise a time for you. And that's generally with one of the general medical consultants here, who is lovely. Her email will be available through ACE, but it's also on the end of this PowerPoint. Obviously, we take into consideration things like CV, your ACE scoring systems, and references. Something that can be helpful is having a connection to the Nelson region or whānau that live here. But in saying that, it's not the be all and end all. Harriet and I both didn't have that when we wanted to come here, so don't let it put you off applying. I think one thing to stress that we think about a lot is whether you can be a good team player. So we work as a small team here. Everyone has each other's back. So it's really important to be able to fit in with that and not work independently. So that's something to stress if you are interested in Nelson and feel like it's the right fit for you.
And one of the things that I think makes Nelson Hospital so unique and special to work in is the amazing culture we have here. And part of that is the things that bring us together outside of work. So there's a pub down the road, which is a place where you find house officers, TIs, regs, and consultants on all possible days of the week. And often you'll head along there with your team or with all the other RMOs after work. The last few years, the RMOs have organised a winter getaway. So all heading down to St Anna to stay at a lodge there for the weekend and just kind of have a fun weekend of games and dress ups and kind of generally bonding activities, which are really special. This year, some of the team are organising a ball, which is going to be a lovely event to kind of celebrate everyone's hard work and with all of the allied health and everyone related to the DHB. So that will be something for us to look forward to. One of the general surgery consultants, Roz, often hosts pizza night. She's got this amazing outdoor pizza oven and she just has everyone round to her place, and pizza and drinks at hers is a regular occurrence, which we all look forward to. There are a few social sports teams. So we have a netball team and a touch team going at different times of the year, and anyone's welcome to come along, not dependent on ability, I can confirm. And that's something that we look forward to as well. There's a great gym and pool for $3 a week, absolute steal. The pool's freezing but beautiful in the summer, and the gym's got everything you need, and it's just right on site. So that's super handy. And I think one of the main reasons that we all live in Nelson is for the wonderful lifestyle here. And part of that is that the people who live here are keen for getting out and doing stuff. So you never struggle to find people who are up for something on the weekend. And as well, there's lots of UK doctors here for a year or a few years, and they're keen to get out and do lots of exploring. So always people around to do things with. One of the PGY2s actually coined this term a few years ago, and we love it. This is the Golden Triangle. So it's a triangle you can draw between Golden Bay at the top there, Nelson Lakes, and the Marlborough Sounds. And everything within this region is within a 2-hour drive of Nelson. So easy for the weekend. And within the triangle, you've got 3 national parks. So we've got Abel Tasman, Kahurangi, and Nelson Lakes. And obviously within that region, you're just absolutely spoiled for choice. And here is a list of some of the things you can do in that region. And lots of them you can do in the evenings after work or in the weekends. So heaps of people into tramping, mountain biking. You could ride straight from the hospital. You can also run straight from the hospital into the hills and up the river. There's an awesome ocean swimming group on in the summer and races every Thursday evening. Fantastic sailing club. We've done some awesome sailing lessons there, and that's such a nice activity to get out and on the water and do after work. And various other wind sports that you could learn. In the winter, there is Rainbow Ski Field, which is about an 1.5-hour drive, so that's super handy as well. Beach, more competitive sports teams if you're into that. And then fun things like wineries and lots of lovely restaurants and cafes. There's a new bouldering gym that's just opened in town, which is awesome. And there's also lots of outdoor climbing around, and heaps of people have gear and head out regularly for that. And lots of cool art things. So there's amazing sort of museums and galleries and pottery classes and all sorts. And just some lovely photos to entice you. So that's a photo in Abel Tasman National Park, and then a photo after one of our sailing lessons at the yacht club one evening. Photo from the tent waking up in Abel Tasman, and kayaking out at, mountain biking at Kaiteritiri. More photos of Abel Tasman, we cannot stay away from there. And these are some photos in Nelson Lakes, so up at Angelus Peak. And more photos in Nelson Lakes as well. We really hope that we've managed to show you how much we love Nelson Hospital. It's honestly such a special place to work, and I think we all feel really lucky to be working here. We'd be super happy to answer any questions that you have, so feel free to flick us an email, and we'll also sit here now and answer any questions.
For the RMOs, did you all do some of your TI year at Nelson? If not, was it easy to adjust to the smaller hospital experience?
We did. We all spent the whole year here last year, apart from our elective. So at least 9 months each. There's one of our colleagues who has moved from Dunedin, who didn't spend any time here last year. And so probably difficult to answer that question in terms of adjusting, but she certainly hasn't seemed to have any issues with that. We're really well supported with registrars and very friendly consultants. So I don't think adjusting, especially if you've been on paper charts and handwritten notes in any other hospital, you'll be fine. How many UOA grads come to Nelson?
Just quickly, sorry about that last question. Obviously, it's different adjusting to a new job as a house officer compared to arriving somewhere as a TI. But arriving as a TI was absolutely, we were made to feel immediately welcome. We were immediately, come along, get involved. Everyone bands around you. And I would say that, yeah, from looking at Rika and how she's adjusted, it's been very seamless from going to a smaller centre.
Or for you, Loretta, how many Auckland grads come to Nelson? I'm not too sure if that means by TI year or by PGY ones, but do you have any sort of very general stats on the division between Otago and Auckland?
Yeah, we don't actually look where people come from, but I don't know, randomly we just seem to end up with one every year. But it's just by coincidence, I think.
Just another question here, Loretta, just checking that someone's understanding correctly whether or not, essentially, is it compulsory to interview before the applications close, and how do they organise that?
Yes, I think if you're serious about wanting to come to Nelson, you should have an interview, whether that's coming face to face or this year we're actually doing Zoom interviews. So even just a Zoom interview, put yourself forward as to why you'd like to come here. They just email myself and I organise it with the pre-vocational educational supervisors.
Another question here is just how do you interview or rank paired applications?
Well, both would have to have an interview. It's actually a lot more difficult with couples because I believe if they get ranked separately, if one gets ranked number 2 and one gets ranked number 30, I believe that the care go down to 30.
That's correct.
Yes. Yeah, so it is a lot more difficult. We have taken a lot of couples in the past.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Yeah.
So Emma, Harriet, Phoebe and support of Loretta, thanks very much for that presentation. It was really, really detailed, really, really clear. And I think that's going to be huge benefit for the applicants to view now and also to view later on when we publish it online. So thank you to all of you for contributing your time this evening. It's been massively appreciated. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, Quentin.
All right. Thanks, everyone. That's the end of the presentation. Haere rā. Have a good evening.